Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are going to get started in just a couple moments here while the team sets up our presentation. My name is Callie. I'm the camp director. I will be presenting with you guys today, and I'll tell you a little bit more in just a few moments. Cool. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, everyone, welcome to the YMCA Mill Hollow Parent Orientation. This presentation is to let you just know a couple of things that are helpful to know while you're getting ready for camp and what that week of camp might look like. Something that's very important to note, this is being recorded and it will be available to you at any time. When we send out our emails to the families, we'll include that with your welcome email before camp, and then we'll also have this on our webpage. So don't worry, we will record it and it will be available to you. That being said, let's go ahead and get into the presentation. My name is Callie. I'm the camp director, so I'll be at camp all summer, making sure the staff are doing their job, making sure all the food is ordered, the programs are set, and that your kids and you feel supported. I've been a YMCA kid my whole life. That picture of me with the cow was actually when I was a counselor in training at an old camp. And I'm just an avid backpacker, lover of the outdoors, and I love to share all of that with your kids. So, more importantly, we're going to be talking about Mill Hollow, where the magic happens. So, Mill Hollow is a beautiful site. This picture is from one of the hikes that your kids can do at Mill Hollow. It's just over a mile to get to this beautiful view. We are at almost 9,000 feet elevation up in the Uinta Mountains. Next slide. But camp itself is pretty small. Something to note, on the right side of your screen, there is a big parking lot. So that's where you are going to be driving your kid up to camp. You'll park in that parking lot and then cross one of our bridges. From there, we will do our check-in, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And then those little buildings with numbers on them, that's all of our cabins. So camp itself is very close-knit. It really builds that kind of community feel. But it feels so much bigger because of all of our hiking trails or the trail to archery or the trail to our low ropes course. So it's a really, really fun site that your kid will get to stay at for a week. When you drive up, you'll see our beautiful lodge building. That's when you know, okay, yes, we are finally here. We made it. You can tell the kids, we're here now. So you will drive up, you'll park, cross the bridge like I mentioned, and then this lodge will be your first step. On the first floor is our dining hall where we will be making all of our meals. So I'll talk a little bit more about our meal schedule and accommodations later. And then if you were to look the other way, we have this big, beautiful field. Great spot to make friendship bracelets, play dodgeball, and just hang out with each other while you eat snack. Next slide. There's another one we just love playing. So kind of just to give you a visual of what it looks like when the kids are there and how much fun we're going to have together. And then one other feature that is not at base camp is the Mill Hollow Reservoir. So the younger kids get driven to the reservoir by one of our YMCA drivers, and then the older kids actually get to go on a really beautiful, very mellow hike to the reservoir. When both parties get there, we get to go boating, we can go fishing, and then whatever other fun activities the waterfront coordinator plans for the day. So always get to go boating, fishing will be available, and then sometimes we have nature art or build little rafts to race alongside the reservoir. So it's a very fun part of our program. Mm. And so to get to camp, most of you will probably drive your kids up to and from camp. So all you gotta worry about is if you're coming from Salt Lake City, but whatever you're doing, you're trying to get to Park City. From there, you're gonna try to get to Heaver, follow signs for Camas, and then you're gonna take the Wolf Creek Highway or Highway 35 up until you get to Mill Hollow Road. All of this is going to be in your welcome email. So this exact list of instructions will be in the welcome email so that you know how to get there. Otherwise, most GPSs like Apple Maps and Google Maps will take you right to Mill Hollow if you put in YMCA Mill Hollow. The other thing I want to mention is that we do offer van transportation from Mill Creek in Salt Lake City. So on Sundays, the van leaves at 3:15 p.m. to go to camp, and then on Fridays, the van comes back at 3:30 p.m. And that's just an additional fee on your registration that the welcome desk or you can autonomously do yourself in your registration if that interests you. You also can pick if you just want to be transported there and you want to pick up your kids on Friday or the other way around or get transportation both ways. All right, so now that we are at camp, let's talk about what we're doing at camp. So this year, we took some time to really ground ourselves and figure out what is our purpose, what are our goals for camping, why do we do this? And this is what we decided on. So the purpose of Mill Hollow is to provide safe, engaging spaces to explore who we are and how we exist in community through programs inspired by nature, connection, and experiential learning. And this is really fueled by our four core values, which are the four core values of the YMCA, and that is honesty, caring, respect, and responsibility, and that touches every single part of our camp. And then we have two major overarching programs at Mill Hollow. The first one is overnight camp, and the other program is excursions. And each of those programs has its own goal, depending on what you want for your child out of that experience. So for overnight camp, like traditional camp, mini camp, Little Millies, teen camp, our goal is to blend traditional and out-of-the-box summer camp activities to create an experience that focuses on character development and essential life skills with a focus on friendship, authenticity, and wonder. And then for our excursions program, the goal of that program is to use the inherent opportunities and challenges of backcountry recreation as the foundation of growth in teenage participants when paired with intentionally designed curriculum to foster resilience, community, and broader perspectives. So camp is really, really fun, but again, we have these goals that differentiate it from other child programs because we want to use our time intentionally. So we have a full team at camp to make sure everyone is taken care of. First of all, I'm at camp. I'm the camp director. I've been working all year to make sure camp is wonderful. Working directly with me is my support staff. This is a team of 7 people who are not assigned a cabin. That way they can move about freely on camp to help any counselors or children who might need just some extra assistance or encouragement during the week. The support staff all have their own special things they do as well, like someone's in charge of designing the program, someone takes care of the waterfront, so that all these moving parts at camp have someone dedicated to it. The next part of our team are our cabin leaders and specialists. So if your child is going to overnight camp, they are going to be assigned 2 counselors in their cabin. One person is a cabin leader who is really focused on the custodial care of your child, making sure their needs are met and their emotions as well. And then our specialists focus on a different activity at camp, whether that's archery, team sports, bushcraft this year, gardening, arts and crafts, or adventure, which is low ropes and lifeguarding. Those counselors take special time to be trained in those fields to make sure they are giving your child the highest quality possible. And then if your child is signed up for excursions, we have 4 excursion instructors who undergo lifeguard training, wilderness first response training, among 2 weeks of excursion backpacking training to make sure that your kids feel fully supported in the outdoors. All of our staff go through multiple series of interviews, and they get full background checks, as well as they must have, I think, like 7 references sent in to make sure that these people are who they say they are, know that they're coming from a good place. And then at minimum, all staff receive 2 weeks of training, and then our support staff receive 3 weeks of training at camp, not only on the program and how to make it really fun, but also child psychology, development, behavior management, how to support kids with differing needs, especially in our changing world. Some big highlights of staff training. It's very long. There's a lot we do, but some things we want you to know. We do take a lot of time, almost a full week, talking about custodial care and child protection. So that is how to recognize and intervene when things are not right, whether that's bullying or child abuse prevention. Our staff are on top of it to make sure everyone is absolutely safe at camp. And then custodial care, we talk about all those big emotions kids might feel and how we can help them through those. We also talk about risk management, of course. Being outdoors is naturally risky, and there's a lot of healthy risks in there. So we want to teach staff how to get kids into the growth zone and help them take those healthy risks so that they can grow. But we also need to talk about risks that are in our control and out of our control to make sure camp is as safe as possible. So teaching the staff how to mitigate risk, how to really look at the games they're playing, the hikes they're going on, what they should look for and how they can prevent situations we don't want. And of course, what to do if someone does get hurt. So all of the staff at minimum are first aid and CPR certified so that they can help out the kiddos. But if that's not enough, we always have a health coordinator and a registered nurse on camp as well. We also cover justice, equity, diversity, inclusion to make sure that camp is a safe place for everyone. And then we also talk about the core memories and core values we can create at camp so that your kids have that magical experience that you are hoping they have when they go to camp. All right, we're halfway through this presentation, so I'm gonna also talk about communication at camp, open houses, packing for camp, check-in day, the camper experience, and checkout day. All right, parent communication. So if you need help at all, the number one best resource is the welcome desk at ymcautah.org. You can literally reach out to them, email that anytime, and they will help you. They're geniuses. They can answer any question. This is also a really great resource for registration and payment help. If you need me specifically, it's c.gernicke at ymcautah.org. And again, all of this is on our website. So you don't need to write this down. This is being recorded and you can access this all on the website. But I'm a really great resource. If you have a question specific to the care of your child, something you're worried about specific to camp, or just a comment, you can always reach out to me there. I also included my work phone number. That is, you can call it, you can text it, and I will respond during business hours. So that's how you can communicate with us. How we communicate with you, we have a photographer on camp who's going to be taking photos throughout the week of kids who signed their photo release form. We will post those photos on Facebook. So I would follow our YMCA Camp Roger and Mill Hollow Facebook page to see those photos. You can kind of look for your kids, see what they got up to, what activities we did at camp. And then during the week, I'm also going to be sending email updates. So the week before your session, I'm going to send an email with all, like literally everything you need to know about the upcoming week. The Thursday before your session, I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about check-in. Halfway through the week on Wednesday, we're going to send a mid-week update. So every single guardians of a cabin will get an email specific to their kid's cabin written by their counselors. And then I will also send an email reminding you of what checkout day will look like, and then we'll send you a follow-up email afterwards. So we're gonna stay in contact with you throughout the week. I mentioned Facebook before as a regular resource, but I also recommend following our Instagram and TikTok, which are both at YMCA Utah, in order to see more photos and videos from the week. If you want to talk to your camper while they're at camp, you can send them camper mail. So the way you can do this is we have a special email, millhollow@ymcautah.org. And every single day, my assistant director will check that email, print out all of your messages to your camper, and deliver them typically at breakfast time. So once a day at a meal, we'll go around and hand out the cabin notes. It's a really great way, especially maybe if you have a kid who's feeling a little bit nervous, to send them some encouragement or updates from home. They always really appreciate that. If you like physical mail, you can just drop that off with a staff at check-in day and make sure what days you want it written out is written on the card. So if you have something you want me to give your kid on Monday, write Monday, your kid's name and their cabin number. That'd be super helpful. All right. So now that we're kind of getting ready for camp, we are hosting an open house at Mill Hollow. It's going to be Saturday, June 14th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And it's absolutely free. You don't have to RSVP anywhere. You don't have to register. You just show up with your friends and family and enjoy a really fun morning of activities around camp and a free lunch. You can meet the camp counselors. You can see the cabins, show your kid, hey, this is the bunk you might sleep in, or this is the bathhouse. That way they can feel a little bit more comfortable. I feel like the kids who come to open house are a little bit of step ahead. They feel more comfortable at camp. They've been here before. Maybe they even met their counselor already. Another thing you can do while you're registered to get their kid ready. And it's also great for people who are still considering camp or any friends and family who might want to see what camp is about. All right. So for those of you who are 100% coming to camp, something else you might do before check-in day is pack, of course. There is a full detailed packing list in our parent handbook, along with so much information. Our parent handbook is just on the Mill Hollow website page, so please check that out. Thank you, Chelsea. But this is a good breakdown. So I first think about my sleep system. We have twin beds at camp. So when I went to camp as a kid, I like to bring a fitted sheet, a sleeping bag, and a pillow. I know some of my friends like to bring blankets and pillows and create like a normal bed. Totally up to you, but they are twin size. I would pack layers. Please remember we are at almost 9,000 feet elevation. It is not as hot as it is in the city. So pack clothes by day. So pack clothes for daytime when it's really warm and also layers for in the evening when it cools off and we're at campfire. If any of you have younger campers, I do recommend packing each day in its own little like gallon Ziploc bag or something like that. It really helps the kids stay organized. I recommend two pairs of shoes. Make sure one of them they can run around in. I do recommend two pairs in case one gets wet or muddy. That way your kid can stay dry and comfortable. Sun and bug protection is a must, especially sun hats. We are right under the sun all summer. We will always be reminding them to put on sunscreen and bug spray, so make sure to pack that. We want to bring water bottles and flashlights. Kids feel way more comfortable with a flashlight and water bottles. We're going to be refilling those all the time. Make sure everyone stays hydrated. Bring your bathroom toiletries. We just renovated our bathhouse, so we have a really comfortable area for the kids to shower and get comfortable before bed. And then I also recommend some comfort items, so maybe a stuffed animal, a journal, a book, maybe some fidgets if they want. Please remember to bring your child's medications. If it is a prescription medication, it needs to be in the original packaging, okay? So it can't be in like a pill box or something like that. It has to be in the original package for us to accept and administer it. Something new this year, we are doing Tie-Dye Tuesday. This is an optional program at camp, so if your kid is not interested in tie-dye, we're going to be having a dodgeball tournament during that time anyway. But for kids who are interested in tie-dyeing, we will have all the tie-dye, but please bring a white item that's preferably cotton or something else like that to dye. And if you don't have something like that, we will be selling white t-shirts with a Mill Hollow graphic on it in the camp store. So you can head to the camp store on Sunday, buy that for your child, and they will have it for the week. If any of these items are not available to you, especially like a sleeping bag, a pillow, toiletries, things like that, please just email me directly and I will make sure we have them for you to make sure your kid is ready. Again, all of this can be found in the parent handbook, which Chelsea did just link in the chat a moment ago. All right, next we're going to be talking about check-in day, the day the magic happens. So check-in will begin Check-in will begin at 3:30 p.m. with assigned waves. What that just means is before check-in day, I'm going to send you a time I would prefer your family shows up, just so that we mitigate any bottlenecks or something like that on the drive into camp. So check-in will begin at 3:30 and check-in will end at 5 p.m. Driving into camp, it is a one-way road, so please make sure to use your YMCA 4 core values, honesty, caring, respect, and responsibility, while you are driving and parking at camp. As soon as you get to our parking lot, there will be staff to direct you, so please listen to their directions. They have done this a time or two, and then they will direct you up to that lodge I was talking about. When you get to the lodge, we are going to have a health check. So every single child who comes to camp is going to be checked in. They need to be checked for lice, and their feet needs to be checked for anything contagious. We want to make sure everyone at camp stays healthy and safe, and because we'll be living in close quarters, we just want to make sure nothing can be spread around. After that health check goes well, we will also have our kitchen manager there. So if you're like, I really need to talk to you about my kid's gluten allergy, they're right there. They can answer your questions, show you the food we're eating, go over an ingredient list with you, or if, answer your concerns. Same thing with the health coordinator. She will be there to answer your questions as well. After you're done talking to them, you're going to get your cabin assignment. So, hey, you're in cabin number 2, and this is where it is. And you'll say, awesome. You can either go straight to your cabin, or if you want, you can hit that camp store, like I mentioned before, or take some photo opportunities around camp. When you are all done, that is when you want to go to your cabin, okay? So go to your cabin. That's kind of like the last step of your day. And that is where your counselors are going to greet you. And then you can help your kid move into the cabin. I really recommend like helping them set up their bed, unrolling their sleeping bag, set the stuffy just right. Some kids like to bring photos that they can take some painter's tape and put on the wall by their bunk. That helps some kids out. So you can really settle them in, and when they're feeling confident, you can head out. It's also a great time to check in with the counselor. So if you have any concerns, or the counselors might have questions for you after reading your camper's info sheet, you guys can touch base, and then we'll see you on checkout day after that. So now that now that your kid is at camp, I did talk a little bit already about communication, but just some reminders. Social media updates, just a great way for you to feel like, oh, I know what my kid is doing at camp, see all the really cool things they're doing, share it with your friends. Watch out for that midweek update. If your kid is staying a whole week, we will send that out on Wednesday. Something I ask of you, please be available, or make sure the number you left with us is a number that we will be able to reach. So if you're going on vacation, maybe also give us a number of someone who's staying in the area. Just because we called doesn't mean anything bad. We might want to double check on a medication. Maybe your kid's feeling a little homesick and they could use some extra encouragement from you. Or otherwise, there could be other reasons we need to get in contact. However, no news equals good news. So if I haven't contacted you, everything is going amazing. I love communication, so if you don't hear from me, that means everything's doing great and we're having fun. All right. So this is a really basic breakdown of what your kids will be doing at overnight camp. So we have breakfast at 8 a.m. and then after that we have 2 activity sessions. So that is when the specialists get to lead the kids' cabin through an activity. Again, earlier I mentioned they are archery, bushcraft, gardening, arts and crafts, low ropes, and team sports this year. We're trying to rotate them out every year, so they are different from last year, except for archery and low ropes, because those are camp classics. After their 2 activity sessions, they will have lunch. We also have a wellness hour so that the kids can rest, recuperate. Some of the older kids like to play cards or rest in hammocks, while the younger kids will usually fall asleep for a little bit. And then we have 3 different kinds of recreation sessions in the afternoon, from a free time hour that's in a designated area. We also have cabin activities, so your cabin gets to do special activity around camp. And then we have camper choice time as well, where the counselors will show what the options are and the kids get to use a little autonomy to pick which one of those they would like to do. That's usually when a lot of fun things happen at camp. We will meet for dinner at 5, and then we have 2 evening program rotations each night. So the top picture is from our theme night. That is a huge deal. That's when the theme really comes into play. The kids will all present a skit, and then there is a series of challenges for cabin versus cabin in order to get cabin points, which your kid can tell you all about this summer. Some other evening programs we have a camp dance, we have 2 campfire programs throughout the week, we have a s'mores night, and we also have our famous carnival. After our evening program is done, the kids will all go back to their cabins. They will get ready for bed, and then they'll meet with their cabin for taps. That just stands for take a pause seriously. And it's just a really great daily reflection activity. Some of them are artistic, some of them are more conversation based, some of them employ use of games or drawing. It's just a great way for the kids to get together, reflect on their day, and then they will go to bed. All right, so what are your kids eating? I'm not going to read through this, but this is our planned menu so far. It is subject to change because camp is fun. We want to explore different kinds of foods. But something really important to note is that we try to make sure there is like a protein, carb, vegetables, and fruit at every meal. So every single meal, it's not listed on here, but no matter what, there's always a fruit basket on the table. And then for lunch and dinner, there's always a veggie basket as well, alongside with any veggies mentioned on this menu. And then we also do have dessert at dinner because that is delicious. Something else we do at camp, we do have a snack time in the afternoon just to help kids get from lunch to dinner, so don't worry. And then we also serve milk at breakfast and dinner, and then lunch is usually some kind of electrolyte drink, like something likened to Gatorade, so that any kids who need help, especially the kids who don't like drinking water, they can stay hydrated too. And then a lot of people ask about snacks. I do not recommend bringing snacks to camp. First of all, the only kids who can keep their snacks with them at all times are kids who have a medical reason to carry those snacks. So if there was a blood sugar sensitivity or concern, that child should always have their snacks with them. And so they should always have their snacks with them. But other than that, if there is not a medical reason for snacks and you bring them, they cannot stay in the cabin because we have had no mice problems, knock on wood, and I want to keep it that way to protect your kids and your kids' stuff. So they would have to go out of their way to go get their snacks. So we have snacks anyway. So if there is not a medical reason, I really do not recommend bringing it, but you are still more than welcome. I know Ben is doing a really good job answering questions in the chat, but this is just a good one to tell everyone anyway. We will accommodate for your child's dietary restrictions. So Ben just mentioned to make sure in your registration have their dietary restrictions listed out. So whether they're gluten-free, they have a dairy allergy, or anything else, we will make sure to have substitutions available even at snack time. And then snacks are available at any time. So just because it's not snack time, your kid is more than welcome to say, Counselor, I am hungry. I'm feeling a little peckish. And then they can just stop by the kitchen and grab something to eat, like a fruit or a little snack pack. All right, so we got to the end of the week, and that is checkout day. So this is the same time for mini camp, which is on Wednesdays, and full week of camp, any other program is on Fridays. We're going to open the gates at 3:30 p.m. so that you guys can come in, get parked, and make your way up to our upper amphitheater. Don't worry, our staff will guide you. What's going to happen is we're going to have a closing ceremony at 4 p.m. So that is a really fun event. All the kids sit in the front row, and the parents and guardians and family get to sit in the back few rows and watch our closing ceremony. So we'll probably sing a song. We're going to give out a lot of awards. So camper-specific awards, Cabin of the Week award. It's a very big deal. And then after that closing ceremony ends, that is when we begin checkout. So you cannot check out your child before that because we're busy doing a closing ceremony. When you are ready to check out, though, you will go back to your child's cabin where all of their stuff is, and you're going to need two things. You're going to need your photo ID, and that photo ID has to match the person on our authorized pickup list. So when you registered your child, and you can still go back and add more. Also, this is all related to Bold and Gold as well. When you go back and add more, you will be able to add who can pick up your child. If you're really not sure if you did it right, you can just email me too. That photo ID has to match our list, otherwise you cannot check out that child, and I'm gonna have to call the primary parent to make sure this is okay. That is just a way to keep everybody safe. And then the other thing you will need is a checkout card, which I will hand out at the closing ceremony, so please make sure you are there. If you have any like emergency reason where you need to pick up your child early, you would just get in contact with me. No reason, no worries. After that, on the Monday after, we're going to send out a parent survey. Whether you had the best week ever or maybe your child has some thoughts on ways we can improve, please fill out that survey. It is the only way we can make sure we are on the right track to being an incredible summer camp. Cool. And then something else I wanted to quick cover is our different kinds of camp, because I usually talk about these at closing ceremony and I see people go, oh, I didn't know that's what they did at camp. I didn't know I could sign up this kid as well. So we have traditional camp, which is what you usually think of when you think of overnight summer camp. That is for ages 8 to 14 usually, but one of our weeks we are going to open it up all the way up to 17 for a teen camp experience. We have mini camp, which is for 7 to 9-year-olds. That's only 4 days of camp. So if your kiddo's like, I'm not quite ready for a full week, or your kid's sibling is like, oh, that's so cool, you're going to camp, I want to try it too, but they're not quite old enough, we have mini camp. And then very similar to that, we have Little Millies. It's for 5 to 7-year-olds, and it's only 2 days long, so they just stay for one night. And then lastly, we do have an excursions program. It ranges from 11 years old to 17 years old, and trips could be day trips out of Mill Hollow where they get to sleep in the cabins at night but go hiking or canoeing during the day. It could be our intro camps, which is learning the skills at camp for a few days, then going on a 2-night camping trip, whether that's canoeing or backpacking. And then lastly is our Bold and Gold experience. This is come to camp on Sunday and then Monday through Friday camping out in the backcountry. Most of our trips are in the Uintas Mountains, but some of them also go to Capitol Reef National Park and Rocky Mountain National Park, and they do a variety of different activities. We have a rock climbing trip, and we also have a backpacking trip as well. Cool. Lastly, I want to give out some payment and registration reminders. So just a reminder, payment is due 2 weeks prior to your session start, and autopay is enabled with a card on file. So just keep that in the back of the mind for how your money's being paid. Cancellation for any reason is due 6 weeks prior, and just a reminder that deposit is non-refundable. Refunds, credits, and prorates do have to be director approved. So when the welcome desk says, let me check with the director, please just be patient so that I can approve that. Our full payment policy details are signed at registration and are available for reference on our website. So if you go to our programs page, you can go down to waivers and policies. Again, if you have any questions or need to change your registration info, add an authorized pickup, a cabin mate request, payment plan, financial aid, and more, anything that has to do with registration or payment, again, please contact that welcome desk so that they can help you. They really are great. All right. Something else I want to talk about, we do have a lot of availability left, and we would love to, whether you're still considering, we would love to have you this summer, or maybe you're like, my kid wants to go more weeks. Camp Roger has a lot of sessions of openings. For Mill Hollow specifically, we are looking for more kids to join us through Dungeons and Dragons Week, Mill Hollow Jam, Bermuda Triangle Week, and Mill Halloween. These themes are incredibly fun. So if you are considering like picking a very fun themed week, I mean, they all are. These ones are just especially fun. And then Bold and Gold, we have plenty of spaces on our Capitol Reef and Rocky Mountain National Park trip, along with some other trips as well. All right. I want to thank you all so much for listening to my presentation before we roll over into a Q&A. But one last time, welcome desk at ymcautah.org. We also have a phone number, so if you're like, I don't want to type, I want to talk to someone on the phone, there it is. You can also reach out to me as well. I would strongly, strongly encourage you to go on our website and check out the parent packet and the frequently asked questions page. If you just have so much you're wondering about, that is such an incredible resource. If it was me, I would be checking those all the time to see, okay, what are they saying about check-in day? Who asked that question that I had too? Just a great way to make sure you feel fully prepared for camp. But that being said, I think we will roll into a Q&A.
Yeah, and hello everybody. Ben here. Yeah, if you do have questions, just pop them in the chat, and Chelsea and I will kind of moderate those to Kelly or I. Kelly, do you want to just touch on the timing of closing ceremony?
Absolutely. So closing ceremony starts at 4 p.m. I would say it ends at 4:20, 4:25 p.m. It usually only takes 15 to 20 minutes to get through. It kind of depends on how many kids receive awards, but it's usually not more than 20 minutes.
Yes, Kelly, devices and technology at camp.
Absolutely. So overall, the answer is we strive to have a tech-free environment so that we can connect on a more human level for the purpose of camp. So I recommend leaving all devices at home, especially to keep your devices safe as well. So leave all devices at home. If a child does bring a device to camp, that needs to be turned into the office until Friday checkout, and then we'll give it right back. That's just to keep everyone safe as well. If you do need to get in contact with your camper for any reason, you can reach out to me and I can find a time to get you guys in contact together through our camp phone. But if a child has a device for a medical reason, please just talk to me and we can see how we can accommodate for that to make sure your child is comfortable.
All right, Kelly, we're getting a couple questions that are very specific to our excursions, like Bold and Gold and like
Cool.
those backpacking trips. Um, would they just receive more detailed communication that is specific to what they need to know, their schedule, where they need to drop off, everything like that in those welcome letters?
Yes, and it's all of the check-in and check-out is exactly the same for all of Mill Hollow. So that's considered Mill Hollow. So the check-in days, the check-out days I talked about, that is all the same. And then the parent packet also has specific packing list for specific trips. So the adventure camp has its own list, the intro camps has its own list, and Bold and Gold has its own list. So please check that parent packet. There's an excursion section of it. And then, of course, I will include that in your welcome emails as well.
And I did just respond to it in the chat, but I just want to touch on the question, can cabin counselors help with things like reminding my kid to wear his retainer? Um, I wanted to touch on that just in general with things like whether it's contacts or retainer or teeth. If you know your camp always need a little extra push on some of those things, that's a great to talk to your camper's counselor about, check in, because I still need reminders sometimes to, throw the retainer in, take contacts up for go to bed. And so like at that check-in time, that's a great time for those just like specific intricacies you might know that your camper has.
Absolutely. And I will say Sunday night, especially the younger cabins, they typically take time as a cabin to create morning and nighttime routines together. So they will and I remember being a counselor, the kids run up to the poster between, okay, I brushed my teeth. Okay, next I gotta brush my hair. They go run and brush their hair. Okay, next I gotta put my pajamas on. And then, so if you make a note to your counselor, like, please remind them to take out their contacts. The counselor will note that and maybe put it on their poster before bed, like, oh, I gotta take my contacts out too, because nobody wants to wake up with contact eye.
One of the great questions I see here was how many campers total are at camp each week and in the cabins?
Absolutely. Great question. At full capacity, right now, Mahalo can hold up to 80 campers at camp, not including 20 up to 20 campers who do backcountry excursions. Typically, though, we most likely see around 65 campers at camp per week. And then I'm sorry, every cabin group has two counselors and up to 10 to 12 campers in each one. Usually 10, but there's two cabins that can have up to 12.
And Callie, could you expand on medications at camp, what they need to know, what's allowable, what they need to bring, anything like that, even if it's prescription or over the counter?
Yeah, great question. So first for over the counter, we have almost all over the counters, and so you will be able to give us consent to administer that or make special notes like, please call me if my child needs this over the counter or something like that. Like, just let us know. So that will be available here at camp. So you don't have to pack Advil or anything like that. But for more special things like over-the-counter allergy or something more specific, you can pack that for sure and have your kiddo's name on it. For prescription medication, we have a med form that you will fill out. It will be in the welcome email and it will also be physically at camp, so you can fill it out at camp anyway. You will turn in your medication to the health coordinator, check in with her, say, hey, here's Harry's A, B, and C. Medication has to be in the original label. Otherwise, we cannot administer. So make sure it's in the original bottle, box, whatever it came with. And then on the medication form, we're going to need you to write what times of day they take the medication, how much of do they take 2 pills, do they take one, what time, just so that we have that on file and we can create a schedule for your camper. And then we keep a log where we signature every single time we do administer that medication so that you know. Same thing with over the counters. We will keep a log of all of that. And then for emergency use, I'm thinking like EpiPens, that will be carried with the counselor. So the counselor wears a special bright orange bag with your camper's equipment in it, and that goes everywhere the camper goes.
And I will touch on the medical treatment question. So we do have a volunteer nurse on site every week in addition to a health coordinator. And for treatment, like described in the question, broken bones, head trauma, lacerations requiring sutures, we have a medical handbook that is reviewed every 3 years by the American Camp Association standards by a doctor. And so in cases like those, it obviously will be case by case. Broken bone, like a displaced, foot, we will probably just stabilize it and drive them. If it's a compound fracture or head trauma, that may result in calling an ambulance or calling in a med evac helicopter. But when we do take kids, we go to the Round Valley. It's on Round Valley Road. It's the Intermountain Hospital right off Highway 40 in Park City. It's the closest to camp.
All right, and another question that has popped up was handling anxiety or homesickness, as well as bullying or behavior/conflict resolution at camp.
Absolutely. So all staff, that's a big part of our first week of all staff training is talking about the different experiences that kids will go through. So I think with more like the child is having those internal conflicts like anxiety, homesickness, things like that. A big thing we like to do is, first of all, recognize and acknowledge the child's feeling. The counselors will listen to them, offer any comfort. Typically, that pretty much does it. A child just wants to be heard, and they say, like, if you really let yourself feel a feeling for 90 seconds, it will typically go away. And then typically, most methods talk about like helping the child get out of that moment. So using different grounding and breathing techniques to bring the child back down to this moment if they are experiencing really big emotion. And then once they're kind of back on ground zero after some breathing exercises, some mindfulness exercises, typically we start to turn the conversation to, what are you excited about camp? Hey, did you know we're going to the reservoir tomorrow? I remember you told me you really wanted to try boating. Do you want to boat with me in a canoe? So just really recognizing where the child is at and then working through their emotions through different grounding techniques to get through that. If a child is experiencing like extreme anxiety and or homesickness while at camp, which does occasionally happen, I would say every other week we have a child who just is very, very distraught. We get in contact with the guardians. We say, hey, we have Emma here. She is having a really hard time. This is what we have tried so far. Typically, the kid wants to speak with their parents, so we'll ask, like, would you like to speak with Emma? She's very interested in talking with you. Some kids bounce back after getting some encouragement from their parents, so that is a reason why I do ask you to stay available because some kids just need one or two phone calls and then they're good and they get through the week. But for some kids, maybe camp just isn't right, and they might just be at such a high level that it's actually maybe becoming a little bit too much, and it might be a suggestion to maybe go home and try camp another time or try a shorter week of camp in the future. For things like bullying, that is totally not right at camp. We take big pride in preventative measures by really encouraging the four core values, telling the kids what that looks like at camp, modeling kindness to one another, as well as making sure that first day we are really establishing one, each other's names, helping the kids get to know each other, playing games that encourage team building and bonding. And then Sunday night, they all make a like cabin a community agreement together where the kids get together and say like, hey, I don't think we should do this to each other, or I think we should only speak this way to each other. So the counselors will lead them through that activity, and typically kids just need to be reminded of that community agreement, like, hey Hazel, I noticed you said this to Eliana. Could you try saying this instead? Because of our community agreement, we want to be kind to each other and uplifting. If there is little disagreements, the counselors are trained in different conflict resolution practices that help kids get to what the root cause actually is and then help them repair any damage that's gone and make a plan to move forward. If a child is bullying another child and like it is persistent, it is on purpose, that child needs to go home because as much as we want all kids to be at camp, we need camp to be a safe place for everyone. So bullying is not tolerated and they will be asked to maybe try camp another time. But we take
Awesome.
it very seriously. So yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. I was working on responding to these questions and I realized they kind of go a little bit together. So at night, one of the, I guess, perks of Mill Hollow compared to Camp Roger is that all of the cabins do have bathrooms in them.
Hmm.
As we've been renovating the cabins, we've moved to just doing toilets and sinks instead of showers, but every cabin at least has bathroom facilities in them so they can just get up, go to the bathroom. It's quite fantastic. And when we get into situations where maybe kids are struggling to fall asleep, we have a couple different things that we like to rely on. And of course, this is one of those instances where if you do know that your child may struggle to fall asleep at night, please reach out to Callie and let us know what works for them that you already know, because you guys do know your kids the best. And so if we don't have at the wheel, there's a great way to help your child fall asleep. We'd love to know it before camp just to keep them comfortable. But we do have a bunch of books at camp, and so reading is a great activity to try to help fall asleep, tire out the brain and eyes. We also, during staff training, the second week is really structured as camp for the counselors because not only does it help them learn the flow of the weekly schedule, but we were able to have them in groups to cover scenarios like this one, where what do we do if a kid can't fall asleep? And so another thing that we'll go over with the staff is something there's a couple different things, but essentially it's kind of, we call it like a paint journey. It's just a guided meditation and breathing exercise where the counselors will tell a story and elaborate on things, but really just have them focus on grounding their bodies and getting their breathing under control over the course of 10 to 15 minutes. And that uh, does have a pretty high success rate in helping kids fall asleep.
And then we also have that rest hour the next day if maybe especially that first night can sometimes be hard. So the next day, that afternoon, they will have time to catch up on some rest and rest their eyes for a little bit.
And the flow of our daily schedule is really focused on that concept of how will a kid be ready to go to sleep, because we eat dinner and obviously food that creates energy, but then we have our big nighttime activities that are really high energy, all 4 nights, like those are go 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 activities, And then as the night progresses, we'll start to do activities that go down in energy. So if it's a campfire, the latter half of the campfire is going to be maybe slow songs or reflective activities. And then as we move into that taps period, that is intentionally, like, we're going to be sitting or laying, doing an activity, really slowing down. And so we try to create that energy flow to make that once they hit the bed, they've been toned down and they're not coming right off the dodgeball game.
Awesome. I know we've had questions about the backpacking camps throughout the presentation. For the most part, anytime I talk about Mahalo, it does relate to the backpacking camp. So if there is a specific question you have about that, I would love to answer it. However, again, that parent packet does have an entire excursion section that covers our backpacking trips, our canoeing trips, and our rock climbing trips as well.
Callie, maybe if you would just elaborate maybe kind of on our adventure camps,
Cool.
that first level, and kind of talk about what changes when you go into the intro programs and then what sets out Bold and Gold from those ones.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have three types of excursions. So for 11 to 13-year-olds, we have Adventure Camp. Adventure Camp is a full week at Mill Hollow, and you sleep in the cabins at night, but instead of doing the traditional activities at camp, each full day of camp, they will leave camp to go to a different hiking trail in the area. So that's Adventure Camp. Or aquatic adventure camp, which is new this summer. Those day trips will be canoeing, kayaking, and rafting on a river. So backpacking kind of side, aquatic side, those are just day trips, and then they come back to camp, so they get to shower every night, they get to sleep in a bunk, um, and then that is very fun. So that's aquatic and also adventure camp, and you get to work on a lot of different skills together as well. So yeah, you're going canoeing out for the day, but hey, let's also learn how to filter water. Or for the adventure camp, let's learn how to pack a backpack as if we were going to go for a trip. Um, the next level is our intro camps. So kids will come to camp. They'll spend Sunday and Monday night at camp, kind of preparing for a mini camp out that will happen Tuesday through Thursday. And then they'll come back to camp to celebrate with everyone else at the end of the week. So they're getting introduced to different skills and then going on just a 3-day, 2-night trip, whether it's backpacking, we have a canoe trip, and we also have a rock climbing trip. So the kids just get like an introduction, and that is for 12 to 14-year-olds. For 14 to 17, we have our Bold and Gold program. So Bold and Gold is a YMCA national program that writes intentional curriculum to help develop leaders and resilient kids in the back country. So these kids are doing backpacking, and there's also a rock climbing trip as well. They come to camp on Sunday at Mahalo, and then they go out Monday through Friday in the backcountry with their counselors, and they are experiencing a little bit higher level of that recreation with a lot of intentional curriculum about contemplation, leadership, group development, and other themes. And Chelsea is showing us our parent packet. So it has a lot of really great information in there about our excursion programs, like the backpacking.
And then maybe in addition to that, Kelly, could you talk about teen camp and kind of what's going to separate that from traditional camp?
Yeah, absolutely. So going back over to overnight camp at Mill Hollow, something I noticed last summer was there were a lot of teens who come to traditional camp and they were so sad. And I was like, what's going on? And they're like, this is our last summer. We're getting too old. I was like, oh man, that's a real bummer. Why don't we just have a week where you all can come back? So typically traditional camp stops at age 14, but for teen camp, which is session 5, we are going to open it up to all the way through 17. So during that week of camp, for our campers who are 13 to 17, one, they'll be with other teenagers their age, and two, they're going to have a little bit more autonomy that week. So while the younger kids go through a schedule that is set for them. The teen campers are going to have an opportunity to sign up for what activities they want to do, and we're going to offer more teen-centered activities too, like how to crochet, maybe more advanced arts and crafts, more time for sports. And then another great thing about the teen camp is the teen cabins are building giant boats to race at the reservoir. So that is a very special thing that's going to happen, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So it's just traditional camp with an expanded age um, cap for that week, and then a little bit more autonomy for them because they are teenagers.
Right. I'm just looking over our questions to see what else we have. A question about water safety at the reservoir.
Great question.
I can take this one, Callie, so you can catch your breath a little bit. So at Mill Hollow, we go to the reservoir to do boating, canoeing, or kayaking, but we do not do any swimming at camp. I know that might seem counterintuitive, but given the elevation that our camp is located and the nearby reservoir is located at, that water is too cold for anyone to really safely or enjoyably spend extended durations of time in the water. So we don't do any swimming. So when they are boating, they do all wear proper life vests that are checked and fitted by our lifeguard staff team, and we have a full assortment of varying sizes of life jackets, so nobody needs to pack their own.
And then in regard to safety, we do have lifeguards. So first first cross certified lifeguards. I
We
saw
have
that
about,
carpool idea
yeah,
is very cool.
it is cool.
I like that a lot.
We have about 2 minutes left of our presentation, so we will stick around and answer any more questions. But this presentation and the recording will be available on the website within the next week. I really want to thank Callie for her time. My daughter has gone to camp several times, and Callie's love and passion for the campers and their experience and making them feel welcome and supported is something that I've always appreciated. So if this is your first time or your fifth, I hope you have a wonderful time at summer camp.
Thank you, Chelsea. Yeah, it's been wonderful talking to you guys. I'm just so excited for this summer. Please, if you have more questions, just email me. I love answering you guys, letting you know how to be prepared for camp. And then also please check out that parent packet and frequently asked questions page. Oh, I'm so glad to hear everyone saying their kids are so excited, because I am too. Oh, so awesome, you guys. Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm just staying on if anyone has any more questions, but that is the end of our presentation. You are all more than welcome to enjoy the rest of your evening now.